You guys should have latest if you guys pull. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through what karma is. I'm just gonna go from beginning to end. So today we're going over test-driven development, and we've been using some behavior test-driven development tools for unit testing and some for feature testing. But now we're going to use some automation tools. And one of the tools that we can use is Karma. This allows us to create tests and run those tests across any of the major browsers. And the test will rerun automatically if it detects any changes in the files that tests are being pulled from. So let's say that you make a bunch of tests. So we have already gone over testing. So let's say you create a test and you have some files that that those tests depend on. Those files that tests depend on, if they get changed, then what happens is those tests then run, and they'll run across any of the browsers that you specify. So like instead of a headless browser, which we had with 16.2, these are actual real browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, etc. And it'll actually run in real time. So you can see, which errors occurred in which browser, and you're going to get feedback about each one as well. So it's pretty cool. Um, it also has some additional functionalities. Uh, Essentially, though, it's for like testing mostly like client-side code, especially when we get into like React or Angular. But it can also do some back-end testing with server-side application code. So we're gonna test it out using our Node and Express applications because Karma is a Node application. So to use this test runner, which was so Karma used to be called Testacular, which is a terrible name because it sounds like something else. And so they renamed it to Karma. To install it, you actually have to do a bunch of crap. You install it globally using the Karma CLI. So what I'm going to do is what I've already done is installed it using this command line interface command. Um, and let me just actually copy and paste this. I'm going to put it into general. So these are the steps for getting the setup for Karma, so that you can do this browser automation testing. There's a lot of steps, but once you get it done, then it actually becomes really easy to start testing things out. And this is just like really tedious. So for instance, the first thing we have to do is install the Node module globally for our CLI. Then we install Karma, Karma Chrome Launcher, Karma Common.js, Browserify, Browserify, Watchify, Mocha Chai, Karma Mocha Reporter. Mocha Chai we've used before. Browserify we haven't really used. So these are all just node modules that we're going to need. So for right now, just be like, okay, I'm just going to assume that we need them. Karma Chrome Launcher allows us to launch a test report in Chrome. Karma Mocha allows us to run our tests with Mocha. So Mocha is our unit testing framework that we've been using. Karma Browserify allows us to use Browserify and Watchify. Browserify allows us to use nodes require. So remember require, which allows us to pull in scripts we run in the browser. So require doesn't actually exist inside of the browser, but it does exist in Node. And if we want to run that on the client-side browser application, then we need to use this Browserify along with Watchify, which runs on top of Browserify. So again, not too important to know right now. We also need Mocha and Chai to run our test properly. Chai is just assertion libraries that runs on top of runs with Mocha. It can run with other libraries as well. Mocha is just a testing framework that Chai happens to be run with in this case. Then we have our Karma Mocha reporter, which is just Mocha. So things are going to be printed over here like this. So it's a little logger for us. So all of our configuration options are going to go in Karma. If you guys want a really good video on making Karma work and all the different configuration options that Karma has, Then Karma configuration options and Karma working. So once you have it installed, you can follow that video. He's pretty animated and like not too horrible to watch. So it's about 30 minutes long. It's a little long, but he goes through every part of this configuration file, like every single part, and he'll explain in depth like about what each part is, and it does a really good job of explaining that. So I highly recommend that if you guys do plan on using Karma. Um, sorry, one person at a time. Who is that?
Can you put that in Slack real quick?
I already did.
Okay.
Omar, so is Karma something like Mocha and Chai or something different?
Karma utilizes Mocha and Chai, but Karma it's like a browser testing automation tool. So it allows you to run a bunch of tests across a whole bunch of different browsers at the same time, simultaneously. So it's like, let's say I wanted to know like, are my tests failing or passing in Safari Chrome? Does it work the same in Safari Chrome, Firefox, all these other browsers? It will automatically keep testing it anytime you change any of the code. So in your tests, so it's actually really cool because you don't have to like manually go about like testing all this stuff. Again, these are all just automation tools that we're using.
So it does many browsers. That's what that Browserify is.
Yeah, well, Browserify allows you to use the require module from Node inside of the browser. So Karma is the one that allows you to do a whole bunch of crap, the browser automation stuff. And I'm going to show you guys how it works too, and examples of us using it. So why don't we take a look at... So in order to generate this configuration file, you need to do karma init, and then honestly just copy and paste like what it tells you. You're going to be putting your files that you want to test inside source and your tests inside your test folder. Once all that's working and you have all those set up, and this is just literally just putting stuff in. Let me also get this image because I think this would help too. All right, so why don't we try testing it out? So we have our Karma setup. So we go to Karma setup. If we go to examples, and we already have our Karma config.js, that means this has already been initialized. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to npm install, and this has everything already. It's going to take a while. In the meantime, let me just look up Karma real quick so I can just give you guys a brief explanation. So if you go to Karma, let's see, Spectacular Test Runner for JavaScript. So there's a good section on how it works. I actually don't like this video. It's really old. It's like from 2012, and it doesn't do a really good job of explaining things. So let me see, Karma, how it works. Karma JavaScript. There we go. Did my whole computer just shut down? Oh, okay. So Karma is essentially a tool which spawns a web server that executes source code against test code. So I'm going to explain what that means a little bit. For each of the browsers connected, the results of each test against each browser are examined and displayed via the command line to developers such that they can see which browsers and tests passed or failed. So once this is done, okay, so this is done now. If I just do karma and I do start, well, first let's take a look at this. So the structure is the karma config. We just have our test right now. We don't actually have any modules to test against. Remember in the karma definition, it says to test your source against your test files. And we don't have our test. We only have our test right now. So this is just going to be a very simple example. So if I hit karma start,
Omar, could you share your screen?
is it not shared?
No, you've been watching me the whole time.
Are you guys serious? Oh my god, I hit share screen too.
No.
Wait, no, it just said stop screen share. This is weird. This doesn't make any sense.
There we go.
It was just screen sharing, but it stopped screen sharing. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened. I was screen sharing and then it stopped screen sharing. If it stops, let me know. I don't know what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this and I'm going to run it again. Okay, so I hit karma start. And what happens is this launches another Chrome browser, karma starting, connected, and everything's good. Executed 1 of 1, success. So this is that logger. And if I hit Control C, closes down my browser, and we're good. Now notice it only launched Chrome. That's because I put Chrome as my only browser to launch. If I wanted to launch other browsers, I could do that as well by just listing them in here, like Firefox and everything. But for now, I just want to list Chrome. And again, if you guys are...
PM start.
Karma start.
Karma start.
Yeah, so you do that. You just do that from your project. So wherever your project is, that's where you're going to do it. So now I'm going to go into solutions, and why don't we look at a more complicated project? So this one has a multiply function. So we went over a multiply function before, and let's say we had some code that we want to test out, and we want to test this out across multiple browsers, or at least some kind of browser to see if it works. And this is going to be like, maybe some client-side code, or it could be backend code too, but generally we're going to be testing out client-side code. And if we have a function that just checks to see if both integers are numbers, and if they're not, then it throws an error. Otherwise, it will return the product of these two, right? So this function, all it does says, okay, is this data type being passed in a number? Is this data type a number as well? If it's not, throw an error. Otherwise, return X or Y. So that's our implementation of the code. We're exporting it. So this is just a function that we created. Next is our test that tests that. And you can see the Mocha Chai framework, right? So the Mocha part, you can see this, this testing framework. And the Chai is like the should equal. So using the Chai should, right? So with test-driven development, of course, you build your tests first. So before you even created multiply.js, we should be creating this test. It says, okay, what are the different things that we should be testing for? It should return the product of x and y when x and y are numbers. And so if we pass it this multiply 2 by 4, it should equal 8. And again, with test-driven development, this function doesn't actually work yet. You'd be running into a bunch of errors. So we would actually do something like this. You'd start off with, a multiply function, but it wouldn't do anything. And then you'd create the functionality. And then another one is it should throw either argument is not a number. And you test that out as well. So that's something we did on Thursday. So this, if I run it, it should run into errors. We're in a different directory right now, so I'm just going to do npm install. Damn, it takes a while. A lot of shit that we're installing. Good God. Yeah, make sure you guys use your git ignore so you don't push all of this up. All right, so our node modules are up to date. So now I should be able to do karma start. If I run it, I should have some failing tests. My browser should start. Starts connected, but then I get failed tests, right? So the browser starts up, but it shows, hey, inside this Chrome with this version on this type of Mac, these tests are failing. Now let's pretend that I actually created these and everything's starting to work. So now my test should pass. So look at that. I didn't even have to rerun it. It automatically understood that I made those changes, reran those tests, and said both of them passed. So that's pretty cool. It's essentially just like a listener that's checking to see, oh, did anything change here? If it did, all right, then what happened? Oh, that changed. Okay, cool. So why don't I just remove one of these and let's see what happens. I save it. One test complete, one test failed. And it shows me which one failed. I didn't have to restart anything. I just changed the code in here and it automatically ran those tests for me. It kept this instance of this Google Chrome alive and it told me exactly what was happening. Now I check it again, both tests are passing. So it's pretty cool, right? Oh, I think it's cool. Let me see. Let's see. All right, so let me close that instance. Again, Control C will close that instance. Okay, so now let's go to another example. See, these are going to be pretty much the same thing, just with more complicated like configurations. So if I have, more complicated code. So in this one, if I do npm install again, no repository found. Yeah? Oh, I think I already did it. Okay. So if I run karma start, actually before we do that, why don't we take a look at what is inside here? So we have some HTML. So this should be interesting. We're going to test this HTML. And it has some JavaScript, it has CSS, has a whole bunch of crap inside of it. And we created all of this crap. So all this is a function. And let's take a look at our tests first. So let's say that we needed, what did they want us to do? A class that keeps track of how many blog posts a blog maintains on each page. Keep track of how many blog posts the blog contains. Determine how many blog posts are on a page number n. It should behave sensibly if the blog does not have a page n. So we're just creating a relatively simple function. So for each of these, we actually create tests, and we instantiate off this constructor, which is page utilities. So this page utilities, again, we said it should keep track of how many pages in the blog. Okay. And to do that, you do page utilities dot post should equal 10. So that means there is something in here that tracks posts. So if we go to page utilities, you have two properties. You have post and pagination. Then you have three prototypes. And these prototypes are methods. So you're adding three different methods: init, total pages, and post on page. So the post is just going to take in the post count. And the pagination limit is just going to be the limit of how many pages you can have. So if we go back here, then we can say, okay, this post, it should equal 10 because when we passed in the first parameter, or sorry, the first argument to the parameter, that was 10. So whatever I pass in, the post should equal that number because that's what we set it to, right? So that's a pretty easy test to pass. Second one is it should keep track of the blog's pagination limit. Again, easy test to pass. Whatever I pass in should be equal to pagination. Should keep track of the blog's total page count. This is a method that we created. So total pages, all it does is says, okay, take the amount of pages, the posts, divide it by the amount of pages, and then round that off. And that's the total pages. So it should equal 4, so 10 divided by 3, and then if you round it up, then that should be 4. Should determine how many posts are on page number n. Should determine how many posts are on the last page. Should handle the error gracefully. Again, these are all just different tests. And this doesn't have anything to do with like karma, as it really has to do with testing things using Mocha. So I'm just gonna run this to see if everything works. So if I do karma start, it's gonna start this browser, and it started the browser. And look at that, all the tests passed. So it's pretty cool. Now, if I wanted to make them fail, I could, let's see, total pages. If I do that, again, look at that, a bunch of tests failed. So total pages was relied upon for a lot of different tests then, right? So that tells you exactly what happened and why these tests failed. So if I uncomment it, hit save, boom, works. Control C, let's close it. And now let's go to our last example.
So this is in browser. This is in browser testing, right?
Yes.
And then the other one was just pretty much testing for your code in general, not just in browser.
The other one, I mean, you could actually use the headless browser testing to do like browser testing, but this is more for like cross-browser integration testing and automated cross-browser integration testing, so that you can test your client-side code across multiple browsers at the same time. So this would, like, if I wanted to run it with Safari and everything, it could actually run all those browsers at the same time, and it would tell you like which browser was not working.
So I know it's probably a dumb question, but
That's okay.
if you put Firefox in there, Firefox,
Yeah.
or does it just with the karma? Does it pretty much bring up that dashboard?
Yeah. So let's do Firefox. And let's try running this one. So, oh, actually, not this one. Oh, is it this one? Yeah, is this one. So Firefox is not configured. Let me see. Where's Firefox?
I saw somewhere else where it said Chrome and it didn't have Firefox down there, right there.
Yeah, I want to find like there's one that actually has like everything in there. What the fuck is it? All right, just give me a second. It might be in here. Actually, let me just open all of them in once. Really? Let me check here. Firefox. Oh, it's not in here either. Where did I see it? I know you can. Okay, let me see. Karma Firefox. Oh, do I actually have to save it? That's kind of stupid. Okay, I guess I have to install it. That's fine. So I guess I have to install the Firefox launcher if I want to use it. So it's a little annoying, but it's fine. Oh, sorry, npm. No binary for Firefox browser platform. Ugh. Okay. So I have to configure it somewhere in here, and I just, I don't want to look it up.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on here. You just have to put it, and I'm sure there's like a video that actually shows you how to do like all different configurations for different browsers. Where did I see it? I think it's in that video I sent you guys. I think that's where he shows you like how to do the different configurations. And he mentions like some like tricky things. Oh, with Chrome, you might also have to run it without security because Chrome has its own security settings. And he said that he ran into like hours of running into like those kind of issues. So take a look at the video. He has like a ton of different ways of like doing things. Um, yeah, but that should have worked. I guess it's missing a specific binary. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. So I have to set this Firefox bin environment variable. I just don't care about that right now, so I'm not going to do it.
All right, cool.
All right, so let's just take Firefox out. So again, we have 5 tests that ran. And in this case, we have this example, which is just, some code. Again, if I change up the code, so if I remove something, like if I comment that out, stuff fails. If I uncomment it, stuff passes. So it keeps track of these files and listens for them, and then you have to have this Mocha or whatever kind of testing you're using. We're going to be using Mocha with Chai, so you're most likely going to be using Mocha with Chai. And then this is the good version of the application. This is a dirtier version, which is just, I mean, I think it still works, but it would be better to use format names clean.js. So this is essentially how you would use Karma. I'm just giving like a very brief overview because the video really explains it like in depth and will answer like any questions you probably have about, well, what are all these different settings? The guy actually goes through like, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. These are all things you do this. These are all things you do this. And it goes over like, the most important parts, which is auto watch, which is determining that really cool stuff where if I change something in here, then it'll actually detect and rerun the tests. Another really important one is continuous integration. Um, again, this is like part of like runs the test and exits. So this one will watch the files. This one will capture it on the browser, run the test, and then exit the test. So if you wanted to exit the test once it runs, then you can set this to true. We set it to false because we want it to just stay there. But that is about it. So there's not really much. I mean, there is much more if you want to do much more. But if you just want to run tests on files, you just essentially just set up the structure with like where you want like the files to be created or where you're gonna like say like, oh, I want to test everything in this folder. And these are the tests I have to test these things out. Then you just set it up as such, and it'll take care of it for you. You just have to run karma start, and once you launch it, anytime you change any of these files, it'll automatically tell you like if it's failing or passing across all the different browsers that you're using.
So there any file in that test folder?
Mm-hmm.
Run tests only on those. Those are the tests that you want to run, right?
These are the tests you want to run, and they're testing based off of the anything in here. So, well, this is actually requiring anything from here. And Karma recognizes only anything in source and test because that's what we told it to look for. So we said, okay, source and test are going to be our files that we're going to look for. These are the preprocessors as well for our browsers. So if you want to like put it in different formats, the video actually goes over, like if you wanted like put it like somewhere else, or if you want to exclude stuff and stuff like that. So I suggest testing it out. I actually tested it out in my application Monster Game, and it worked for me too. So I'll be pushing this application. So this is the application I'm making that will be set as an example to help you guys uh, have a frame of reference for building an MVC application. So hopefully you guys have been taking a look at that too.